this portion is about how to be magnetic, how to be who you need to be in order to be A-list. So again, this is not about how to get into a Hollywood party. This is this is basically the self-importance part. This is where you learn to place enough importance upon yourself that you don't so easily defer and deflect. And I think we all can relate to ways we undermine our own even intentions. We might have a strict plan for the day, and then a friend calls and we're off doing, now we're doing what they wanted us to do, right? And we had a day plan and we were excited about that day. But again, we have to put our own name on the list, and when we do that, it really makes us magnetic and attractive to other people. Even that our desire, even when we're desiring to be on that list, without the intention to be on it, we're actually making ourselves unattractive. Mm-hmm. It has to be matched by intention. Our intention is really what generates, it's the engine. Our intentions are the engine for what we get. And we have to generate these things ourselves. So you can have the desire is great, but if it's not engined or powered or fueled by intention, it's never going to happen. You can't just want to be on that list. You can desire it with all your might and you're never going to get on. Because you have to intend to get on, and you not only have to intend it, but you have to be who you need to be on that list. And that doesn't mean being perfect and shiny and bright and fabulous and being better than you are now. It just means shifting your perception slightly to see yourself as, in the way that we've been talking about all day, somebody worthy, somebody deserving of it, somebody with something important to say, somebody with something important to offer. Because we all have a lot to offer. And even being willing to self-express, right? Because the A-list people are usually, they're fascinating somehow, or and we all are, but we have to own and claim those parts of ourselves. If we have great stories we're ashamed of, that actually would be really sexy if we, were to share those stories, people would find it alluring and cool, then we can be A-list, right? So if we're sort of ashamed and we don't really want people to get to know us and we don't quite feel worthy and we're just sort of hoping and waiting and wanting, and your dream for your life is that you get invited onto some kind of a platform, and you have to put yourself there. You have to intend to get there. So how you do it really is by placing importance on yourself. So placing importance on yourselves include the topic we're going to get to, self-care, and it includes all of these things that we've been talking about today. Placing importance on yourself. You matter. The root of this, and this comes back to self-knowledge, is self-acceptance. The root of it is almost being willing to be authentic enough to let the chips fall where they may, and say, oh, I can't do this because I have to do that, or to be willing to displease somebody based on your perceived needs in that moment, right? But also empower them to shine. Tuning into your highest, wisest, and most honest self. Where do you knowingly defer to the needs of others and flake on your own plans? In other words, in what situations, relationships, or areas of your life are you well aware that your selflessness is a problem? Everyone can relate to that, right? Examples could include eating cake just because it's someone's birthday. I can totally relate to that, whether you feel like it or not. Skipping the gym to linger on the phone with a friend. Saying yes to a request to take on extra work by someone at work who isn't even your boss. When people sort of will negotiate and barter with you. And then you can be sort of almost sometimes give your power to anybody. Almost like if anybody asks something of you, you give them power. Whether they have actual power over you or not. Attending a social engagement out of obligation. The famous lunch date it's the perfect example. We all relate to that lunch date we go on. That we don't want to go, we don't really care about the person, they keep inviting us. Mm-hmm. It's happening to us, right? We feel like we're victims of this invitation that every time we see this person, at some point I just have to say yes and get it over with. No, you don't. You don't have to have that lunch. You really don't, just because the person asked you 15 times. Because that's the part of us that will go into sacrifice. Like, okay, I'm now at my quota of being able to say no, so now I have to say yes. And we really do make ourselves an official, formal victim. Like, I now officially have to say yes because, And I've told some of you in here in the Love Mastery, I was reading, it was a Vogue article, a woman who was diagnosed with cancer, and all the things that, she was diagnosed with cancer with like a 2-year period to live, and she believed in it. You know, she wasn't like a highly spiritual person who would question that. She, you know, she believed what she was told. But she was like, okay, with 2 years left to live, about 90% of what she was doing went out the window. So I was like, I took that lesson. I was like, yeah, if I had 2 years left, because we all of us have 2 years to live, metaphorically, in terms of how short life is. Life is definitely too short for feeling like we have time to have lunch with people we really don't care about. I mean, how about all the lunches you're not having with people you'd really like to have lunch with? And you're just sort of deferring to the squeakiest wheel. It's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, is it not? It's that one friend who keeps nagging that you finally go out with, you know, and then the lovely friends you'd love to spend time with who fuel you and inspire you are not, you're not going out with them, you know. So that's one of the ways to put yourself on the A list. Like, ask yourself, someone you really admire, let's say Deepak Chopra. We love Deepak Chopra. Ask yourself, would Deepak go out for this lunch date? Would Deepak spend his sacred 2 hours with this person? Would he say yes just because the person kept asking? You know, doing these things will keep you from being A-list. Because guess what? When you even read these things, it kind of sounds loserish. Oh, she eats cake when she doesn't want it because she doesn't want to offend anyone. You know, there are things we actively do that keep us from being A-list.